Aloha is as old as Hawaii itself, even older, because before these islands were created, the beauty and love that make up aloha existed in the mind of its creator. For how could such a feeling be born of ugliness or hate? The terrible majesty of volcanoes shared parenthood with the sea. Tropic skies helped make this newcomer to the world a gentle thing, and wind from far horizons breathed humanity and understanding into it. Here then was the land to which aloha belonged, the islands of Hawaii. Yet that was not quite enough. Although a setting had been found, still no actual shelter was there. No grass hut, no temple. So a home for aloha was fashioned, a shelter for aloha, a warm and human heart. To protect it, nature grew the Hawaiian. He did not know exactly why, but this new creature loved the land and sea and wind and sky, mostly because his heart stirred, feeling the natural love that flowed between him and these things. A shelter for aloha, a warm and human heart. Then one day strangers landed on these shores where their random charts of the Pacific said no islands existed. But this tropic discovery was not the only one these strangers made. A feeling of aloha, one that they had never known before, awakened within them too. And so aloha began to grow richly in splendid wonder. Born of old Hawaii, sheltered in hearts of its Hawaiians, at last it reached out, touching the great heart of the whole world. But its strength will always be where its own Hawaiians stay, in these islands of the sea, in Hawaii nei. There are 12 letters in the Hawaiian alphabet. The vowels are A, E, I, O, U. The consonants are H, K, L, M, N, P, W. To pronounce the vowels, A, E, O, U. Pronounce the consonants, He, Ke, La, Mu, Nu, Pi, Ve. The Hawaiian W is unique in that its sound is unlike any sound in the English language. It is neither a V nor a W, but somewhere in between. It is important that you know of the existence of the long and short vowels. Here are some examples. The long vowels. A, as the A in father. E, as the A in pay or lay. E, as the E in the word see or me. O, as in O in the word so, go. U, as in the O in mu, or the O in the word do. The short vowels. A, as in pa or ma. E, as in Edward or every. E, as in tin or pin. O, as in open. U, as in pull. There is a little verse that we recited in a sing-song manner as children that assisted us in remembering the sounds of the consonant and the vowels. And this is how it goes. A, alapi a, e, elepani o kai I, ipuhau kelea vei, o, mahi ai o, u, Upamakaniu, he, ke, la, mu, nu, pi, ve. And so you have the vowels and the consonants. When two vowels are slurred one into the other without a sacrifice of sound value and treated as one syllable, you have the Hawaiian diphthong. Combine the vowels A and E into one word, and you have I. And there exists an invisible Y sound to create and continue the fluidity and flow of the diphthong sound. Some street names utilizing the Hawaiian diphthong sounds are Kame'eia moku, Ke'eau moku, Kalakaua, Kaimuki, Kalaniana ole, La ie. Often we are asked, just exactly what does aloha mean? Well, aloha means we welcome you. Aloha means good luck, good night. Aloha means I love you. It's a love song. It's a haunting refrain. It brings you joy. It brings you pain. Aloha means farewell. It also means until we meet again. So what did the Hawaiians mean when they said aloha? Aloha is a composite of many thoughts conveyed or received, expressing greetings of welcome, of farewell, of concern, of abiding love, of affection, of esteem. Before the missionaries came, there was not a greeting as we know it today. When greeting each other, the Hawaiians inquired after their health. It was a sound rather than a word. For instance, hui, Pehea oi, and the inquiry was there. It was a greeting and how are you? And there was concern in the inflection of the voice. Now you must remember this. It's extremely important that you know what part the inflection of the voice plays in conveying a greeting, a farewell, a question. The missionaries would say, "Good morning, sister. Good morning, brother." And of course, to the Hawaiian, there was no such word as good morning. Fascinated by the musical sound of the word morning, the Hawaiians greeted each other, morning, 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 morning. And so this explains in part that the term we use today, aloha kakahiaka, is an acceptable good morning, but not a preferred. Because we have told you that aloha means many, many things, but it does not mean the word good as such. And so, we will greet each other morning, 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 or we will greet each other according to the time of day. Morning is kakahiaka. Midday or noon is avakea. Afternoon, auina la. Evening, ahiahi. Night, po. Day, la. And so we've divided up the day and the night. So let's learn a little bit of the language. Greet a friend, say pehea oi, how are you? Again, the inflection in the voice. If you're really concerned, Pehea oi, how are you? If, however, you're a little annoyed, but you still are inquiring after the child's health, your husband's health, or a friend's health, but you're not too happy about them, Pehea oi, how are you? And so, be very careful. If you really want to know how your friend is, say, Pehea oi. And of course, his answer should be, I'm very well, thank you. Mai kaino wau, mahalo. Very well, thank you. Mai kaino wau, mahalo. And so everything is very nice. He is well. You're happy that he is in good health. However, if you're not feeling too good, you're feeling a little poorly, then your answer to the query, Pehea oi, how are you, should be, ano ma'ivau, I'm not well. Ano ma'ivau, I'm not well. And then again, if there is absolutely no change in the way you are and things are at status quo and things are the same as ever, the query will be, Pehea oi, oia mau no. There's no change. Everything is the same as ever. However, let's try it again. Pehea oi. Oia mau no. Things are not so good, but he is not feeling poorly, but he is not the same as ever, and he certainly does not feel very well, thank you. And so let's take the expression again. Pehea oi. How are you? Maika ino, mahalo. Very well, thank you. Pehea oi. How are you? I'm not well. Ano ma'ivau. Pehea oi. How are you? Oia mau no. Same as ever. Now, if you would like to enlarge the sentence just a bit, to the phrase Pehea oi, you will add ike ia. Ike ia. Then take the time of day that you are greeting your friend or inquiring after his health. For instance, you see him in the morning. And so here is your complete sentence. Pehea oi ike ia ka kahiaka. How are you this morning? Take the same sentence. Add the word avakea. You've met him at noon or midday. Pehea oi ike ia avakea. How are you this noon? Ask another question, utilizing the same sentence, but adding auina la for afternoon. Pehea oi ike ia auina la. How are you this afternoon? Another sentence. Pehea oi ike ia ahiahi. How are you this evening? Pehea oi ike ia la. How are you today? Pehea oi ike ia po. How are you tonight? So far, we have been speaking of the first person, you or I, oi, you, au or vau, I or me. Now we will explain how you would greet two or more people. Pehea o lua. How are the two of you? How are you two? Pehea o lua. Pehea o ko. How are all of you? Pehea o ko. How are all of you? O lua denoting two people. O ko denoting three or more. And your response, of course, should be, Maika ino maua mahalo. We are well, thank you. Maika ino maua mahalo. We are well, thank you. Maika ino mako mahalo. We are all well, thank you. Maika ino mako mahalo. We are all well, thank you. And it must be a grand day because everyone's feeling well. And so you say, Hela maika ike ia. This is a good day. Hela hui hui ke ia. This is a chilly day. Hela vela ke ia. This is a hot day. Hela ua ke ia. This is a rainy day. Mahalo. Thanks. Mahalo nui. Many thanks. Mahaloa nui loa ia oi. Thank you very much. There is no such expression as you're welcome to a Hawaiian thank you. Whatever the gift, it was given with a free hand and with a free and generous heart. Always the gift is demeaned in the eyes of the recipient. And so, to a mahaloa nui loa to you, or a thank you very much, your answer should be, a ole pilikia, it was no trouble. A ole pilikia, it was no trouble. He wahimea li'ili'ivale no. It was a very small thing, a very small gesture. He wahimea li'ili'ivale no. It was a very small thing, a very small gesture. Hau'oli laha no. Happy birthday. Hau'oli laha no. Happy birthday. Mele kalikimaka. Merry Christmas. Mele kalikimaka. Merry Christmas. Hau'oli makahiki ho. Happy New Year. That's what they say today. This is what the Hawaiians said when they first heard the expression Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hau'oli makahiki ho. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. A welcome into your home. E kipa mai. Welcome. E komo mai. Come in. Hele mai. Come here. Hele mai ma'anei. Come right here. E kipa mai. Welcome. E komo mai. Come in. Hele mai. Come. Hele mai ma'anei. Come right here. If you're interested in what your friend is doing. E hana oi. What are you doing? E hana oi. What are you doing? E ho ikaua. Let's return. In essence, what you're saying is, let's go home, or let's go. E ho ikaua. He hakela. What is that? He hakena. What is that? He hakeia. What is this? He hakela denotes an object at a distance. He hakena denotes an object closer to the person being addressed. He hakeia denotes an object in the hands of the speaker. So, he hakela, what is that? He hakena, what is that? He hakeia, what is this? If there are more than one object, then your question should be, he hakeia maumea, what are these things? And if they happen to be pictures, he mau ki'ikeia. These are pictures. He mau ki'ikeia. These are pictures. If you're interested in where your friend is going, hele ana oi ihe, where are you going? If you are an irate mother with a teenage child slipping out of the house, perhaps without permission, the same question, a different inflection. Hele ana oi ihe, where are you going? And so the question and the inflection should be determined by the incident. Hele ana oi ihe, where are you going? And your response should be, hele anau ikahale pule. I am going to the church. Hele anau ikahale ku'ai. I am going to the store. Hele anau ikapikiniki. I am going to the picnic. Hele anau ikahale kula. I am going to the schoolhouse. Hele anau ikahakai. I am going to the beach. Hele anau ikalu'au. I am going to the party. Hele anau ikapa'ina. I am going to an informal poi luncheon or supper. Hele anau I ka ahaaina. I am going to a large banquet. Heleana, as we have established, is the expression to go or going. By adding au or vau, which means I, referring to oneself, and then the words I ku'u, which means my or mine, the sentences are changed and used as Heleana au I ku'u ke ena hana. I am going to my office. Heleana au I ku'u hale. I am going to my house. Heleana au I ku'u ka'a. I am going to my car. Heleana au I ku'u lumi moe. I am going to my bedroom. Hola ehia ke ia. What time is it? Hola ehia ke ia. What time is it? Ka hea mai o ia'u ma ke kelepona. Call me by telephone. Ka hea mai o ia'u ma ke kelepona. Call me by telephone. E hele kāua I ka hale ku'ai. Let's go to the store. E hele kāua I ka hale ku'ai. Let's go to the store. Hele ana maua I ka hale ku'ai. We are going to the store. Hele ana maua I ka hale ku'ai. We are going to the store. E noho kāua I ka hale. Let's stay at home. E noho kāua I ka hale. Let's stay at home. E kala mai. I beg your pardon. Excuse me. E kala mai. I beg your pardon. Excuse me. Olu olu e kala mai ia'u. Please excuse me. Olu olu e kala mai ia'u. Please excuse me. Olu olu e kala mai ia'u. Mai ka papa aina. Please excuse me from the table. Olu olu e kala mai ia'u. Mai ka papa aina. Please excuse me from the table. Ua hele o keoki I ke kula. George has gone to school. Ua hele o keoki I ke kula. George has gone to school. Ki ia nau I ke ka'a no ka mea ke kali nei o keoki ia'u I ke kula. I am going to get the car because George is waiting for me at the school. Ki ia nau I ke ka'a no ka mea ke kali nei o keoki ia'u I ke kula. I am going to get the car because George is waiting for me at the school. Let's count in Hawaiian. Ho'okahi is one. E kahi is one. A kahi is one. Does it sound complicated to you? It really isn't. If you'd like to count the numbers from 1 to 10, this is how you do it. E kahi, 1. E lua, 2. E kolu, 3. e ha, 4, e lima, 5, e ono, 6, e hiku, 7, e valu, 8, eva, 9, umi, 10. Once you've mastered the individual numbers, you can probably count them off one by one, leaving out the preface e, and counting kahi, lua, kolu, ha, lima, ono, hiku, valu, eva, umi. Of course, if you've had a lot of practice, then you'll do this. Kahi, lua, kolu, ha, lima, ono, hiku, valu, eva, umi. Sounds musical, doesn't it? Well, all of the language is, whether you're counting numbers or doing vocabulary words. Having circumvented the first 10 numbers, perhaps you'd like to go further. And of course, the next number is 11. Now, on a piece of paper, write the word umi, U-M-I. This is 10. Add this word, kumama, K-U-M-A-M-A, kumama. Now say the two words together, umi kumama. In essence, what you're doing is saying 10 plus a number. And so you will say umi kumama kahi for 11. Umi kumama kahi, 11. Umi kumama lua, 12. Umi kumama kolu, 13. Umi kumama ha, 14. Umi kumama lima, 15. Umi kumama ono, 16. Umi kumama hiku, 17. Umi kumama valu, 18. Umi kumamaiva, 19. 20 is Iva Ka Lua. Iva Ka Lua, 20. To count from 20 to 29, you will again take kumama and add it to the word Iva Ka Lua. Iva Ka Lua, kumama kahi, on through until 9, giving you 29, which is Iva Ka Lua kumamaiva, 29. Then you take the word kana, K-A-N-A, kana, and add the equivalent of the word 3, kolu, kana kolu. And there all of a sudden you have 30. I do the same thing with 4. Kana ha, 40. Kana lima, 50. Kanauno, 60. Kanahiku, 70. Kanavalu, 80. Kanaiva, 90. Ho'okahi haneli, 100. Haneli being the word for 100. The Hawaiian word for 1,000 is kaukani. And so ho'okahi kaukani, 1,000. Ho'okahi miliona, 1 million. Ho'okahi biliona, 1 billion. And so you're ready to count. Kahi lua koluha lima. Ono hiku valu eva umi. And those are the numbers. And you've counted in Hawaiian. Isn't that marvelous? Ka ohana, the family. No information about anything Hawaiian would be complete without giving you the names of the family members. We'll start with the head of the family, father. Makuakani, father. Makuakani. Makuahine, mother. Makuahine. Keikikani, son or boy. Keikikani. Kaikunani, brother. Kaikunani. Kaikamahine, daughter or girl. Kaikamahine. Kaikuhine, sister. Kaikuhine. Kupunakane, grandfather. Kupunakane. Kupunavahine, grandmother. Kupunavahine. Pepe, the baby. Keiki, child. Kamali'i, kamaiki, children. There are two expressions there. Kamali'i, kamaiki. Kanaka, man. Kanaka. Kane, male. Kane. Vahine, female, woman. Vahine. Elemakule, old man. Elemakule. Luahine, old woman. Luahine. May I go back to father? There was also the practice in the use of papa for father, mama for mother, tutu or kuku for the grandparents, tutu kane or kuku kane for grandfather, tutu vahine or kuku vahine for grandmother. Vocabulary. Au, vau, I or me. Au, vau. Oi, you. Oi. No, yours. No. Na'u, mine. Na'u. Kahea, call. Kahea. Vela, hot. Vela. Anuanu, cold. Anuanu. Hui hui, chilly. Hui hui. Ua, rain. Ua. Maikai, good. Maikai. Hola, hour. Hola. Kelepona, telephone. Kelepona. Hau'oli, happy. Hau'oli. Kaumaha, sad. Kaumaha. Li'ili'i, little. Li'ili'i. Pokole, short. Pokole. Lo'ihi, long. Lo'ihi. Mauka, toward the mountain. Makai, toward the sea. Mawaina, in between. Nani, pretty. Nani. Ui, beautiful. Ui. Ohu ohu, gorgeous. Ohu ohu. Kila kila, majestic. Kila kila. Pehea, how. Pehea. Ikamanavahea, when. Ikamanavahea. Auhea, mahea, where. Auhea, mahea. Ihea, whence. Ihea. Ovai, who. Ovai. Heaha, what. Heaha. Nokeaha, why. Nokeaha. Nokamea, because. Nokamea. I, yes. Aole, no. Aole. Pilikia, trouble. Pilikia. Inoino, bad. Inoino. Pololei, correct. Pololei. Aole pololei, not correct. Aole pololei. Ponoau ike ia mau mea. I approve these things. Ponoau ike ia mau mea. Ponoau ike ia haavina. I approve this lesson. Ponoau ike ia haavina. Malihini, stranger. Malihini. Kamaaina, one who belongs. Kamaaina. Kei ki hanau o kaaina, child born of the land, Hawaii. Kei ki hanau o kaaina. On a drive around the island of Oahu, you will be fascinated by the Hawaiian names that are posted on individual streets and highways. And I thought I'd take you for a drive around Oahu, touching on the names that I feel you would like to know how to pronounce properly. Of course, there's Waikiki. Then there's Diamond Head. No, that's not Hawaiian. The Hawaiians knew it as Le'ahi. We know it today also as Kaimanahila. Then a drive through Kahala, out through Waialae, on to Kalanianaole Highway, to Hanauma Bay. We look toward Coco Head, and then drive on to Waimanalo. There's Kailua and Kaneohe. On the windward side, there's He'eia, Kahalu'u, Ka'aava, Punalu'u. There's picturesque Hau'ula, and of course, world-famous La'ie. Kahuku, Waialua, Mokuleia, Aiea, Waipahu, Nanakuli, Maili, Makaha, Makua, Ka'ena. And while you're visiting Ka'ena, you might look mountainward to Mount Ka'ala. Kolikole, Eva, Nu'uanu, Pauoa, Mo'ili'ili, Kaimuki. These are just some of the names of the towns and streets on the island of Oahu. There's a very famous expression when you do the hula, the dance of the Hawaiians, that calls for you to take a trip around the island. We're not only going to take a trip around the island, but we're going to visit the 8 major islands in the Hawaiian chain. We'll go first to the island of Hawaii because it is the largest island in the group and the youngest. It is known as the Volcano Island. Its color is the color red, the red of the volcanoes, and its flower woven into beautiful leis is the lehua. Maui is the second largest island in the island chain. It is known as the Valley Island, and they have a very famous motto there, Maui no Ka'oi. Maui is the best. Her flower is the lokelani. Her official island color, pink. Oahu is the capital of the state of Hawaii. Its official color is the golden yellow of the ali'i feather leis. Its official lei, the ilima. Kauai is the garden island. Its flower is most unusual in that it is not a flower, but rather a berry gathered from the forest reserves, called the mokihana. While green in color, the official Kauai color is royal purple. There's a simple explanation. Kauai is the oldest island. It is the island of kings. Molokai, the friendly island. Its tree, its flower, its lei, is the kukui. The kukui tree is the official tree of the state of Hawaii. And the nuts, the candle nuts on the tree, are made into very beautiful leis, and the flowers are woven into the official lei of that island. And their color, of course, is green. The island of Lanai is the pineapple island. Its official color, orange. Its official lei, the kaunaoa. This is a plant that grows on the sand dunes. Ni'ihau is the only privately owned family in the chain of 8, owned by the Gay and Robinson family. Their lei is not a flower lei, but rather the very tiny, very precious poo-poo shells gathered on the shores of Ni'ihau and strung into beautiful garlands of shell leis. This, then, is the official lei of the island of Ni'ihau. Kaho'olawe, once owned by the Angus McPhee family, is known today as the Target Island. Of interest to you is the official lei, which is the hina-hina, known to the Hawaiians as the hina-hina. The color is gray. At the turn of the century, when Hawaii became an integral part of the United States, Hawaii's first governor was the Honorable Sanford Ballard Dole, and his face was distinguished by a very long gray beard. The Hawaiians looked at the beard and looked at the hina-hina and referred to it as Ka'umi-umi o Dole. These then are the 8 islands of Hawaii. Songs of Hawaii. We'd like to share the lyrics and the music of the songs. It would take a little longer and a little telling. And so we're going to settle with some of the brief stories back of some of these very beautiful songs. We'll start with Hawaii Pono'i. Hawaii Pono'i. Hawaii Pono'i was composed by King Kalakaua. Captain Henry Berger popularized it. Hawaii Pono'i extols the virtue of the ancient kings of Hawaii, the rule and the ruler of the kingdom of Hawaii. It has since been accepted as the official song of the state of Hawaii. Sing it proudly, Hawaii Pono'i. Long before Hawaii Pono'i became the official song of the Kingdom of Hawaii, and then the official song of the state of Hawaii, a gentleman by the name of Reverend Lorenzo Lyons composed a song called Hawaii Aloha, and unofficially for many years it was sung as the Hawaiian national anthem. Another song that tells the story of young love and a sad parting was the song composed by Queen Liliuokalani, sung as a farewell song today on all occasions, Aloha Oi, farewell to thee. The story is a very sweet one and a very romantic one about 2 young people reluctant to leave each other and bidding each other a very sad adieu. Aloha Oi. The weddings of Hawaii are unique in that they have a very special song. The composer of the song, Charles Edward King, did not intend that it be a wedding song as such. However, because it was the most preferred song at Hawaiian weddings, it has since become identified as the official wedding song of Hawaii, Ke Kali Nei Iau, I am waiting for thee. A sequel to that song is another composition of Charles Edward King. This beautiful composition, Le Aloha, Le Makamai. It is known today as the engagement song, the betrothal song. Le Aloha, Le Makamai. A song called Na Lei o Hawaii, written again by Charles King, sings of the beauty of each one of the 8 islands. It tells you about the lei of each island and the mountains on each island. Na Lei o Hawaii, or the Song of the Islands. a song that started out first as a chant, a love chant, if you will, that blossomed into a kind of a hymn, progressed to a very popular type song, is known today as the war chant, Tahua Hawaii. I'll grant you there's a very thin line between love and war, and I suppose that in essence this justifies a love song turned war chant. It was accepted practice that chants be composed for the ali'i. Queen Liliuokalani, beloved queen of the islands, had many songs and chants composed especially for her. She was a composer of note in her own right, and there is one particular composition that she loved very dearly. This was called Lei o Kamakaeha. We know it today as O Makalapua. Kamakaeha was the name of the queen, among other names that she had. She was known as Lydia Kamakaeha. And so she asked permission of the composers of this chant to set the words to music. And so the song that you hear today, Makalapua, is a composition of many people. Those who love the queen, the music of the queen, and those of us who sing it. O Makalapua Lei o Kamakaeha. Ku'upua I Pa'oakalani was a song written by Queen Liliuokalani while being held prisoner in Iolani Palace. As a prisoner, she was permitted some privilege. She was permitted visitors, and among the visitors were her friends, relatives, and retainers. One afternoon stands out in her mind as a most memorable afternoon when she was visited by one of her very humble retainers who extended to the queen this very humble ho'okupu, her gift of love. On the opening of the package, the queen gasped and the tears flowed freely down her cheeks. She recognized her flowers, flowers that grew in her own garden at Pa'oakalani. And in the song, in part, it acknowledges that there are flowers that are beautiful and fragrant, but it acknowledges also that there are none fairer and none more fragrant than these blossoms from her own garden, Pa'oakalani. Ku'upua I Pa'oakalani. The philosophy of the old Hawaiian is based on love and trust. And it is said that when love goes out from the heart of man, Hawaii no longer will be Hawaii. Ina e hala ke aloha mai ka na au o nā kanaka, a laila pauno o Hawaii.
Akahi hui, ai ke kumaka, i ka nani, a o waya kea, a o he lua, e like ai, me ka nani a, me ka nani a o Kuhio ke. au I ka nani a mohito I ka a e ho'opulu ni o ni ana mokola au I ke kai o ina e kaulana nei a kahi